Hey, friends, welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just a lovely place to live. I'm your host, Colin Johnson, with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you're interested in buying or selling a home in the area, or if you're looking at investing in a rental property, give us a call at 423-930-8003, and we will look forward to helping you. Now, let's get to today's episode. Today's episode is really important for our local community. We are joined by my friend Steve Darden, who's currently running for judge here in our area. It's a role that impacts so many aspects of our daily life, often in ways we don't even realize or understand. And so I'm excited for you guys to hear our conversation as we're going to go beyond just campaigning, and we're going to get to know Steve in a deep way. So it's going to be fun. So whether you follow local elections closely or not, that's a great opportunity to better understand how the judicial system works and the kind of leadership that shapes it. So with that in mind, let's jump in. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Colin.
First question, everybody gets it. What do you love most about Johnson City? And since we've had just an astounding number of people and the mountains,
Right.
we're going to go for what, besides that, what do you love about it?
Well, I have lived here my entire life, was born here, chose to remain here, come back after law school. So it's just really, to me, it's a special place that uniquely has every feature that you really want to have in a place. You know, it's a wonderful climate, lots to do. It's a great place to raise your family, which my wife Ann and I have accomplished. Our children are grown and they've been educated and launched their careers. Just a super livable place that is so centrally located. I don't think you could pick a better location if you want to get away to a bigger city to get that big city fix.
Yeah. And we've got so many people moving here because of that. You're like, what took y'all so long to figure it out? Right. Which I'm glad. I mean, because we've grown up here. I'm the same. I've been here for 40 something years, and it's changing a little bit, but that's okay. You know, I think it's hopefully for the better. We get some new ideas and new people in, and hopefully some people who want to love and serve our community like we've had in the past. And so, this isn't your first campaign.
It is not.
Tell us about your campaign history. What have you done for the city? And
well, I come from a long line of people who have given their time to the community, both my family and my in-laws. My wife Ann was a Spurrell. Her mom, Grace Brading, was a very active member of the community. People who just loved their community and knew that it didn't just happen.
Right.
So they volunteered their time to keep it the great place it was and to make it better as they could. So when I was turning 40-ish, we had two kids, 8 and 5. Not the best time to, enter local office, but I was encouraged to do so and had a lot of people who said, hey, this is a pivotal time in our city's history. A lot of elections get called pivotal.
Right.
And I didn't hesitate to call that one pivotal either.
Yeah.
But it was really a great experience. I told folks what my vision was for the city, and I was consequently elected then and 2 times after. The third was when Congress...
City commissioner, right?
Yes, city commissioner, sorry.
No, you're good.
Phil Rowe was my fellow commissioner, and of course he was elected to Congress. It left 2 years on his term, so I finished that when I was elected to the 2 years that remained on his term. So I served a total of 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I was mayor for a term. I was vice mayor for a term. And looking back, I'm just really proud of what we accomplished. When I took office, we had 56 audit findings. The city's finances were not anything to be proud of. And so the first thing we had to do was right our ship financially, which we did. Mm-hmm. And then in subsequent years, we did things that have endured, like the Tweetsy Trail, Founders Park, Kings Common Park, but also things that are important to growth and development, like a wastewater treatment facility to add a third to the city, and things that were infrastructure related. One of the big things that we realized was that, hey, downtown is flood prone. How could we possibly expect people to make an investment there if we didn't first invest in ourselves?
Yeah.
And so we sort of we were committed to trying to calm, if not eradicate, downtown flooding, and that's what Founders Park was all about.
And it's a beautifully done stormwater management. I mean, it's a park, but it also serves as it does what it needs to do, and it's kept downtown from flooding.
Exactly.
Which is super cool.
So,
That's a great idea.
I'm a believer in term limits.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is certainly a believer in term limits.
Congress isn't.
Amen. I've heard the arguments against it, and it seems to me the only ones who make those arguments are the office holders.
Yeah.
But that's maybe a little afield from what we're talking about today.
It is a little bit. I think, what would we have to hold, like a Continental Congress or something on our own as like to implement something that they're not going to vote in? Is that how that works?
Maybe a constitutional convention or
constitutional.
Seems like there was at one time I was told a deal on the table when Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House to implement term limits, but to grandfather it for all of the current office holders, which, would have gotten us there.
Right. That seems like a good compromise. Okay. So you're not running for county or city commission again. You're running for judge.
I'm running for judge. Yes.
All right. So tell me about running for judge, and then which court are you going to be? Which court are you running for?
This is one of the 3 general sessions court judgeships.
Okay.
And the reason it's on the ballot is because last year Judge Rob Lincoln retired.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
good dude.
Everybody's elected at the same time. So all 3 general sessions court judges were elected in 2022 for 8-year terms.
Okay.
So when he resigned, then as you'll see on the ballot, this is for the unexpired term that he held, that he relinquished.
Okay.
4 years beginning this September, and then running 4 years, which will terminate in 2030.
Okay.
So a 4-year term, and then after that, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, I would anticipate running again then.
Okay. So tell me about what General Sessions handles.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. It is a very busy court. You might call it the backbone of our legal system here in Washington County and really all across the state of Tennessee. It's the equivalent of what other states might call a small claims court, but it's much more. So here in Washington County, the judges wear basically 3 hats, but not just that. There are other things too, but the main 3 roles are to be the juvenile court judge for the county.
Okay.
Johnson City has its own juvenile court.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a civil component, and then there's a criminal law component.
Okay.
The criminal piece is misdemeanors or processing, if you will, felonies to the criminal court, arraignments, preliminary hearings, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then you also have trials of misdemeanors, a lot of plea bargains. There's a lot of teamwork in the General Sessions Court, and there really has to be.
Yeah.
Attorneys represent the accused or the defendants. Sometimes that's the public defender if the person is not of enough means to pay for their own lawyer. And then there are prosecutors from the district attorney general's office. So oftentimes they're able to work out a plea bargain, a compromise, and they present those to the judge for approval or perhaps non-approval if it seems not to be in line.
Right.
So that's the criminal piece. And then we have the civil court, which is jurisdiction of disputes up to $25,000.
Okay.
And then the juvenile court really falls into 2 different categories. First of all, of course, a young person may have committed a crime, and they have to be processed, hopefully, in a manner that justice is administered in a way that demonstrates to them they want that to be their one and only offense.
Right.
So that they don't become a repeat offender or an adult offender. And then also what is known as a dependency and neglect case, where There may be circumstances in a home where the Department of Children's Services has come in and is considering whether the child is being cared for properly. Assistance may be available to the parents.
Tough decisions there.
Those are, as Judge Tom Wright, who held this position in Greene County and is a friend of mine, told me, those are the kind that break your heart.
Yeah, it's just a tough world we live in at times.
But it's a super busy court, and a lot of humanity flows through there.
Yeah, I bet.
And to most of the people who come through, it might as well be the Supreme Court, because what is happening there is of the utmost importance to them. And I think it's incumbent upon the judge to see them, to hear them, to give them the individualized attention that they deserve in the midst of a busy court.
Yeah, it does sound like it's very important. What you're doing. Yeah,
it is.
So, like, we shouldn't take it lightly. We need to get out and vote, right?
I hope that folks who hear this podcast will make a decision to vote.
Yeah.
The primary is May 5th. All of the action in this particular contest is going to be in the Republican primary.
Gotcha.
And early voting starts April 15th. So I think when this podcast drops, early voting will be in its third day.
Okay, so we should get out there and vote. Where do you go early vote?
You can do that between the 15th and 30th of April at Freedom Hall in Johnson City.
Okay.
The Gray Commons in Gray, of course, which is where the fire hall is, and then the old Jonesboro Middle School.
Okay.
Hours are 9 to 5 weekdays, 9 till 12 on Saturdays, and there are 2 Saturdays in there for folks who can't make it during a weekday.
Working folks.
That's right. And then Election Day, May 5th.
There we go. Well, give us a little more background, because how do you feel like, I mean, you're an attorney, right?
Right.
And you've been doing that for a few years now.
I have 4 decades.
4 decades.
And I've also been a listed Rule 31 mediator.
Oh, okay.
For about half that time, which is a way that folks who have a dispute may seek alternative resolution rather than going before a judge or a jury. And mediation has really caught on over the last few years as a way to that people recognize they can actually craft their own outcome. So I really...
and it doesn't tap the court system, right? Because you're doing that outside of the court.
You're exactly right. It takes a lot of stress off the judicial system.
Yeah.
And it's a less expensive, sometimes less divisive means of dispute resolution.
Quicker too, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that skill will be very handy as a serving.
Well, that was my next question. What do you think separates you from the other people you're running against?
Well, I've been doing this for, as I said, for 4 decades. I've also been with a firm that has afforded me the opportunity to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And I just think there's a difference in someone who's had to sweat out payroll.
Yes.
And
I'm with
frankly, somebody who's made their living as a government employee for the whole time.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where sometimes you don't get paid, but you make sure your employees do. And,
right.
And it's all right. We're going to be a little hungry this month, but I'm making sure my people are.
Well, and for the past 8 years, I'm not now, but for 8 years I was managing partner of our firm. Our firm name it's Hunter Smith and Davis. We were started in 1916.
Yeah.
Over 110 years ago in Kingsport. Started when George Eastman came down and decided he needed a second source of chemical manufacturing other than his Kodak plant in Rochester, New York. And Kingsport didn't exist at that point. So we were created and helped plat the original contours of Kingsport. So we've been there from the beginning. Mm-hmm.
And then to have the vision that, hey, we're going to be, I don't even know how many acres it is, but when you drive by Kingsport or, drive by Eastman Chemical in Kingsport, that place is massive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many, it looks like 1 million miles of pipe and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So to have the vision to see that and then go, okay, now we're also not only we have to have all these employees, they've got to have housing, we've got to have schools, we got to lay it all out, and you guys were involved in that. That's pretty cool.
Well, and Kingsport was founded. They call it the model city.
They do,
and it's a perfectly planned, as one of my mentors in this field, Ed Norris, would say, a perfectly planned city with industry and church circle, and it was designed.
We love it.
It really was. There were multiple large industries that, including Eastman. So anyway, so being managing partner means, you're looking after the interests of 50 families who make their living with our law firm. Right. So very much I've been a business owner, and I hope to bring some private sector concepts to the court, if possible, to gain efficiencies, and always being on the lookout for making good use of the taxpayer's dollar.
I love it. What do you think fairness looks like in a courtroom for you? Like, how do you balance that out? I mean, it seems like these are just such tough decisions you have to make at times.
Fairness, justice. Somebody asked me not long ago, you must really love the law. And I mean, being a lawyer has suited me great. I mean, I was surrounded by lawyers at my dad's restaurant growing up, because it was right across the street from the Ash Street Courthouse. Loving the law, though, is not really the focus to me. It's valuing justice and being able to take the facts, determine what they are, because there are always two versions, two sides of the story, and you got to figure out, okay, what is the truth, or how can we come closest to the truth here? Right. And then you apply the law to those facts. And then ultimately, you want an outcome that is going to have a positive aspect to it for all concerned, if possible. Sometimes there's a winner, sometimes there's a loser. Sometimes you might introduce those mediation concepts and have a win-win situation. That's the best, right, to me. But I think at the end of the day, even people who don't get the outcome they want, if they feel like they were treated fairly, if they were heard, if they were given the opportunity to speak, then you at least want them to walk away feeling like the system didn't disregard them as a person, yeah, who had rights that were important.
Yeah. And it's probably hard too to be extremely impartial, right? I mean, there's some emotionally charged cases you're going to see, sometimes there gets to be publicity around it. And so having like just a very neutral mind is probably difficult. How do you kind of navigate that one until you learn the facts, right?
Well, as an advocate, you have a client, and lawyers the mandate we have is to represent our clients zealously within the bounds of the law.
Okay.
And so I think it's exciting, really, yeah, to have two zealous advocates arguing their case, and then you sort of decide, okay, what's the right outcome here? Right. Not who had the best lawyer, but who had the facts on their side within the application of the law.
Now, once it gets to court, is there a possibility for a win-win at that point, or is it just usually you go with the plaintiff or the defendant? You have to pick one or the other.
Well, I mean,
or do you get to say, "Hey, I feel like"?
Well, at the end of the day, you got a you're the referee.
So you get to make the call or whatever.
That's right. And in general sessions court, if someone doesn't like the outcome, they have a 10-day period. They can appeal to the circuit court. So the good thing about all that is it's a pretty economical system. You can have a case in general sessions court and not, spend so much on attorney fees,
right,
that that there's nothing left to appeal. In fact, it's possible to represent yourself in general sessions court.
Oh, there you go.
And a lot of people do that.
Yeah. What do you feel like some of the biggest challenges are facing the court system right now?
Well, this particular court is just the volume. You know, there are 3 general sessions court judges. There were 2 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the county commission funded a 3rd. And the volume of cases has just kept growing. It's kept growing.
Is that due to the population increase, or is that more of just a more liturgical society?
Well, I would say it's because our population has grown, and therefore just the volume of cases has. But really, it's the criminal docket that's become heavier. And so, how do we address that? Well, you know, that's the challenge. I think that we need to try and see how we can streamline things if possible. But a key to it is for lawyers to come in there prepared.
Right.
I've been, you know, when I was earlier in my career, I spent quite a bit of time in the General Sessions Court in Sullivan County.
Okay. And
Judge Snodgrass was a judge who I really admired. I mean, he sort of helped mentor the young lawyers, helped us learn how to present a case effectively and not belabor things. He was not tolerant of people who wasted the court's time on facts or pursued line of question that were not relevant. And he would tell you, get to the point.
Yeah.
Get to the point. And so you learn to get to the point. And I think that's something that I can impart. But for people to come in, for lawyers to have the attitude, well, it's just General Sessions Court, or I can come in here and wing it. I don't think that's an appropriate attitude for people to have. It's not. It doesn't serve the clients. Yeah. Clients don't appreciate it.
Well, you have a fiduciary duty if they're hiring you, right? You got to give it your best.
Well, that's for sure.
And it's not cheap.
But ultimately, if you're spending time that the court needs to hear your case or others, getting acquainted with your client or trying to figure out, you know, what you're trying to accomplish that day, people just need to be prepared. And so the better prepared the lawyers are, the better the judge can manage things. But, you know, I had a lot of experience running city commission meetings as mayor. Sometimes those were wild and woolly affairs.
That's right. It gets a little off track at times. So to be a good leader is probably very helpful in this judge role.
Right. Well, I've run a lot of meetings, and this is akin to that very much.
Yeah. Do you see the commission having to add on another general sessions court in the future? Or, I mean, just with the sheer volume? Or?
You know, I mean, it's probably at some point, but I don't know when that would be, and I'm not lobbying for that.
Gotcha. Do you think the court currently is serving the citizens really well, or do you feel like it could improve there?
Oh, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
I think that the judge needs to make sure that he or she is not contributing to the problem.
Yeah. Brevity
is a gift, and it's one that is appreciated in General Sessions Court. You know, there may be occasions when a message needs to be delivered or that sort of thing, but by and large, you know, lawyers appreciate it when the judge gets to the point in his or her ruling, and I would attempt to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to us about character and integrity and why people should probably hold that up very high in their matrix if they're looking at different things to, you know, on it as who to vote for.
Sure.
I would think that would be one of the utmost.
I think it matters more than the law school you went to or even the grades you made.
Right.
You know, what is how are you made? Well, how were you raised? I was raised to treat everyone with dignity and respect.
Right.
To me, that's fundamental, and it's the starting point of every matter that would come before me.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, work ethic, ability to focus. Are you a quick study? are you able to separate, the things that aren't true from those that are.
Mm-hmm.
I raised 2 children, so I've got a pretty good, what detector. That was good training. But I wasn't sure where you were going with that question, but up until about 20 years ago, you didn't have to have a law degree to be a general sessions court judge.
Really?
Now, most people around here had a law degree. I mean, it's certainly appropriate.
I would think so.
But there was a lawyer in Hawkins County who did not have a law degree when he was a general sessions court judge initially, and then he earned a law degree.
Okay.
And I'm sure across the state that worked out okay sometimes. And I'm not saying that, but having a law degree and understanding, not knowing every particular law, but having the aptitude and knowing how to interpret statutes, because we get a lot of new ones down the road. But those are the skills it takes. But commitment to getting cases moved along, but more importantly, to get an outcome that's appropriate under the circumstances.
Yeah. How does your faith play into that, you think? I know you're a fellow believer like I am and love the Lord, and you're probably having to do some tough things as a judge at times that you just, you're kind of like weighing it out, like what's, and asking the Lord probably for some guidance at some point, I would think.
I didn't make this decision without petitioning the Lord for guidance. I wouldn't endeavor to make decisions that are consequential to people's lives without asking the Almighty to have a hand in it.
Yeah.
Micah 6:8 tells us to love mercy, do justice, and walk humbly with God. Mm-hmm. There's a lot there to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to have that ally, and that really that recognition that, hey, I need grace. So it's important. I think it's super important. And our system is not devoid by any means of a faith-based approach to things.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I believe the 10 Commandments used to be up in every courthouse in the country until somebody got their feathers ruffled, and and it's crazy how one person can, or a small group of people can change the landscape of that. Like if we look back, how faith has been kind of suppressed and more and more and more. And it's just kind of like, well, I think our founding fathers wanted us to be built on a Judeo-Christian belief system. And I think that's why we're thriving like we are as a country. And fear, as we get away from that, you can read the Bible over and over and over. If the guys, you just watch these different groups of people get further away from the Lord, and it doesn't go well for them. And so I know that's a tough question for you to answer, but
I mean, judicial activism is at the root of some of that, where judges have legislated from the bench. That's certainly not something I intend to do.
Probably not the place for it either.
It's not. I mean, I believe in our Constitution. I think it's an amazing gift from our founding fathers, as you mentioned, and the separation of government is brilliant. Judicial and legislative are separate. Mm-hmm. The lawmakers make the laws. The judges enforce the laws, and you shouldn't tread on one another.
Right.
That's I guess that's the reality of the situation is I'll have situations where I'm compelled to to enforce the law, whether it's sentencing guidelines or what have you, in a way that might seem inequitable.
Right.
And there's leeway, right? There's leeway, but that's bound to happen.
There are a lot of statutes in place too, as well, that you kind of lean into. I'm sure they're like, oh, well, this happened in the past, and this is how we handled it.
Yeah.
being an attorney for 40 years, you're pretty seasoned, and I would think that you don't have to run for this role, right? I mean, you could probably kick it into cruise control, enjoy a nice retirement soon, and just kind of live out your days as a dad and granddad, right? And so,
Well,
what's compelling you? I mean, like, not that I'm saying, like, why are you choosing to put all of um, your knowledge and
yeah.
skills into the courtroom at this?
Well, there are. Um, you're right. I and I, as I've said, my career has my entire career has been spent with Hunter Smith and Davis.
Yeah.
It's a hard place to even contemplate leaving,
Right.
because the people are so great,
Yeah.
and there's a very compatible group of people, a lot of collegiality. But I also know, as I look at the future, we're only allotted so much time here.
Mhm.
And the things that have meant the most to me, well, I mean, a satisfied client is a very rewarding thing.
Amen. Yeah.
But the things I've done in the community that people enjoy, that people remember you for, legacy type things like the Tweetsie Trail, um, you know, it's really rewarding. I'm not retirement material.
I don't think you are.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's one of these days, yeah. But I think this is a career shift. It's not.
Sure.
It's still in the law, but it's an opportunity, really, I think, to extend my career,
Yeah.
because it will be a new endeavor, and with new rewards.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen each other in the mornings for the past probably 20 years. You're in the gym every morning getting after it. Where do you feel like that? And then, like you said, work ethic. Where did you get your drive and work ethic from?
Well, so it's just sort of I guess, a family thing. My father was a hardworking individual. He owned a restaurant on Walnut Street down. It was at the other end of the block from the Shamrock,
Okay.
on the other side of the street,
Yeah.
on the corner of Walnut and Ernest. It was called the Rainbow Corner because of a place that he frequented when he was in England, waiting to cross the English Channel to join the battle in Europe as a World War II Army
Oh, wow.
sergeant. And there was this soldier's haven. And so when he came and he was deciding what he was going to do when he returned from the war, he decided to open up a restaurant, and that's where he got the name.
Oh, wow.
And it was a real important play. It was great to have a family business,
Yeah.
where you could work and spend time. And so, I started my career as a dishwasher there at about age 8.
I started my career as a dishwasher too for my
Did you?
dad in his laboratory when I was like 12. So, yeah.
Well, so my hands are not permanently dishpan hands, but
You use palm olive. You like,
but anyway, his restaurant. He operated his restaurant for 6 days a week and had Sunday off, and that was family day. But it's just part of how we grew up. And my mom's my mom's father and mother came from Albania,
oh, wow.
and he was also a restaurateur.
Oh, wow. It's in
And
the blood.
there's an article we have from the Greenville Sun that talked about how he became a restaurateur in Greenville. He was working in Knoxville 17 hours a day.
Holy smokes.
And he asked the restaurant owner to give him some equity in the business. He said, I'll still work like I'm working now. And the guy refused. So that was enough to convince him I need to just start my own. And he
Right.
did. And so, I guess that's just sort of the on both my mom's side of the family and my dad's. And, obviously they were naturalized citizens, proud Americans. My grandmother couldn't speak English very well, but she could say "God bless America" with crystal clarity. Never knew my grandfather, but I've heard a lot about him.
Oh, wow.
And not just from my mom, from businessmen and whatnot in Greenville who I grew up, or who I had the pleasure of serving as in my law practice.
That's cool.
That knew him. And yeah.
How did you not become a restaurateur? Yeah. You're
well,
like, I've seen it and don't want any part of it.
Sometimes the lessons we learn are what we don't want to do, right? I also knew I didn't want to retread tires, but I worked at Free Services retreading plant for several summers. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was good motivation to get your degree.
Yeah. What would be some advice for some young people that are listening to the podcast right now on how to, it's a weird and wild world right now, AI and all this stuff, but I think work ethic is just key. I think you'll always, if you're hardworking, you're always going to find yourself in a position to win. What would you kind of advise?
You can pretty much say if you're not hardworking, it's hard to get ahead.
Yeah.
I think enjoy, find something you enjoy. They call it work. They pay us for it. If it was fun and games, they might not even pay us.
Right.
But I think just understanding that, hey, you can even make a mistake or two along your career path and experiment with what you think you might want to do. People who know from an early age what they want to do, I think are fortunate.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. But just know, if you were born in the United States of America, you hit the lottery.
You really did.
And there's so many opportunities here, and I think sometimes we take for granted what we have. I did. I think it's just human nature.
It is a little bit. It's hard.
But if you're able to travel and see other parts of the world, it sure makes you appreciate this one.
Agreed.
And if you ever want to take a tour of the Washington County Detention Center, whether I'm elected or not, I know I can arrange it.
Oh, wow. There you go. Yeah, I think there's was it Scared Straight? There used to be a TV program. They took kids to the jails and said, "This is where you're headed."
Right.
And
right.
it would straighten them out a little bit.
Well, and I'm impressed with some of the things that have started in the court. There's been a recognition that not everyone who commits a crime ought to be treated in a conventional way. Right. There is a mental health court. There's a dependency court. I would like to see a veterans court added, because here in our community, we've got a lot of veterans who have issues that might lead to crime. Now, that doesn't mean you, quote unquote, let them off.
Right.
It means you devise a path where at the end of that path, they could perhaps have the criminal charges dropped. There's also something called a safe baby court that some courts in our state have devised, which stems from the recognition that there are mothers who need assistance at that critical stage of an infant and toddler's life. So there's innovation happening. I've talked to Sheriff Sexton quite a bit about more robust incarceration to workplace programs, so that if someone has committed a crime and they've served their sentence, it doesn't need to stigmatize them.
No.
But they do need something to help keep them from becoming a repeat offender.
Right, yeah.
And a job is one of the best ways for that to happen.
I agree. Yeah, it gives us purpose, for sure. What are you seeing locally that concerns you the most right now that you're wanting to help out with?
Well, as far as the trends that we're seeing, I mean, there are some statistics that suggest crime and serious crime, particularly assault, is on the rise. And, that's something we have definitely got to keep our eye on.
Yeah. That's, not good.
So that, I think that would be the primary thing I would mention.
Is that an education thing, you think? Like, teaching people early or kids early that, you know what, there are right ways and wrong ways to live. And a lot of times the offenders haven't been taught that early as a youngster, and it just grows up and kind of perpetuates. Is
right.
that kind of where you feel like it's coming from, or where do you feel like a lot of this stems from? It blows my mind, some of the stories you hear. You're just like,
yeah. Well, I don't think I don't think that there is one factor that could be pointed to answer that question.
Right. Yeah. It's multifaceted, I'm sure.
But it is something that, I'm a firm believer in this. If there's a problem in our community, chances are other communities have had it, and some of them have addressed it.
Right.
So we don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. We just need to be aware, and that's why I think some of the behavioral programs that are going on are being effective.
Yeah.
The opioid settlement money made possible the program that's going on now in the jail, and it's being led by so many people, and I'm going to name one, which means I'm going to leave out a lot.
Right.
But Ms. Ashley Barnes is over that. She was an ER nurse, and just a real commitment to helping people get the help they need. And so I think that needs to be top of mind when we look at some of these problems. I went to a forum out at Sulphur Springs School on trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking. These are problems that are here, and you have to have the willingness to address them. And I want to be part of that beyond the courtroom.
Yeah.
So that we can address these things. There was a judge in Kingsport in the General Sessions Court, Judge Jones, who had a juvenile docket, and he started the Character Counts program, or introduced it in the Kingsport schools before when I was working over there mostly, and so that made a difference in that community to try and get to folks before they have to enter the criminal justice system, or before they get into trouble even.
Right. Yeah. It's just such a multi-complex thing that you're going to have to deal with. And, I think it's very honorable that you're seeking it.
Well, sometimes I think
it's almost like, hey, throw me into the fire,
well, and it's sometimes I think it's helpful to have someone with a fresh perspective come in and ask questions. Yeah. I'm pretty agreeable, but you can be a disruptor.
Sure.
And be an agreeable disruptor.
Right.
And I think I've got a track record of that.
Yeah.
I've never gone for, well, that's how we've always done it. That's not part of my vernacular.
Right. Yeah. I think you'll do a wonderful job, sure.
Well, thank you. Hope to get the opportunity.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, like you, and like, what's a typical day look like for Steve Darden right now?
Well, it's starts early. I am an early riser.
Let's talk about, throw a number at it, because I think I know, but I want to hear it. What time you get up in the normal day?
About 4:30.
Okay. And have you been doing that for a while?
A couple of years probably.
Okay.
And I wake up and I'm alert. I don't hear the alarm, much less hit the snooze button. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wake
up.
Going. Yeah. Consequently, I go to bed early. And, and that's just sort of, I think that's my natural clock, you know.
We all have natural rhythm.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
All right. So
But
you're up at 4:30. What are we doing?
quiet time.
Yeah. Spending some time with the Lord.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, exercise.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the office. I may have, just depends on what's on the calendar. You know, there may be projects outside the office, inside the office, court appearances, things that uh, precede court appearances, like depositions or discovery, things of that nature. Yeah, but it's, you know, usually focused on service to clients in some way or another.
How has exercise played a valuable part in your life? I mean, like, yeah, tell me about, because you're a couple years ahead of me, and so I
Right.
mean, we're still doing it, and
Yeah.
I know the answer, but I'm for our listeners, like being a dedicated guy that's at the gym almost every day. How does that help you?
Well, you know, to me, I mean, it's obviously physical fitness is the key to, if you happen to live a long life, enjoying it,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully avoiding the aches and pains
Mm-hmm.
that might come along. Um, it's I mean, the wellness centers it's kind of a social thing too. You know, you get out there,
yeah, you got some good
see
friends
people.
there. Oh yeah.
But you know, it's an alternative to medication, right?
It does have a ton of benefits because I mean, it helps you de-stress.
Yeah. Oh, I think the, you know, the mental part of it is great. It's
Right.
just nice to get out and get moving and do so in a vigorous way, and
Yeah.
then get on with your
There's
day.
something to be said for doing something hard every day, right? And so, like, if you're getting out there and getting after it and doing something hard, then your day's you've got something hard out of the way, and so the
Yeah.
rest of it, you're like, oh yeah, I can handle the rest.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I sure do.
Yeah.
But I think it probably stems from, you know, being a athlete as a young person, and um, wanting to just be able to do what you want to do. My wife and I love to hike. We I I've played golf. I probably have the distinction of playing golf longer than anybody and still not being very good. So I'm not like my brother who could play every day. Um, yeah, but it's a great way to start the day. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd mentioned legacy earlier. Tell me a story, or like give me the vision for what you feel like you want to do and how you want to leave Johnson City when you're not on this planet anymore.
Wow. Um, you know, I want to give my best effort as long as I can. I used to coach youth sports, and that was sort of what I tried to ingrain in people was, hey, it's okay if you make a mistake, but do your best.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to every endeavor that we engage in. And you know, we had some nice accomplishments, I guess, playing when I coached. But there was a boy who played on our team. We won the city park and rec championship,
Yes.
which was a huge deal to us. And you know, there were some pretty good teams. One of the boys on our team, far from the star of the team, but he came out. He came to every practice. He played. You know, got to play. And at the end of the season, my wife put together a montage of video to One Shining Moment.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
which is
Yeah.
March Madness
Yeah.
March Madness
Yes.
anthem. And everybody said something at the end like, I appreciate, you know, I had fun. It was great. We're number one. And this one boy said, I appreciate Coach Darden giving me confidence.
Nice.
And to me, that's the legacy that I would like to leave is how did you make a difference in other people's lives? Because I had a fella named Henry Joy, well-known person in our community. His dad was my Little League coach, and Henry coached another team. We were the Truckers. Henry coached the Sockers. They had quite a rivalry. But when I was about 6 years old, I had gone with my brother. He's older than me, to Powell Square Park. And when we got there, he kind of ran off with the older boys, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go sit on this picnic bench. And he came over there, Henry, and he said, "Aren't you the bat boy for the Truckers?" And I thought, he noticed me.
Yeah.
And I just think, that's, to me, so important. Everybody deserves to be noticed, taken note of.
Yeah.
And that's something I'll just tie it back to what I said earlier in the podcast. Any person who comes before the court deserves to be seen and heard.
Agreed. Yeah. And everybody's equal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say somebody is sitting on the fence. They don't know whether to go with, I think, the other gentleman's Monk. Is that right? And
Correct.
Yep. Or you. What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them that elections, in our system, you have the right to vote, and we have the right to elect the person to serve.
Right.
After Judge Lincoln after he retired, county commission had an appointment to make, and that's great. But the people get to decide who they want to have.
Right.
And I would simply say my track record is an indicator of future success, if you will.
Yeah.
And I believe you can count on me to leave this court better than I found it.
So you just really want to make it better, which is great. Let's say somebody's listening. Where can they go to learn more about supporting you and your campaign and your platform and all that?
Well, and I will tell you this, if you go to my website and you read the content, you're going to be reading something I created.
Oh, cool.
I don't have a consultant doing this for me. I've can speak for myself, and I'd prefer to. So
you probably know yourself better than anybody else, if I had to guess. Maybe Ann, your wife, she could throw some stuff in.
Well, she tells me things about myself that I sometimes think are wrong, but I know she's right about.
Right. Carly the same way. They have a good way of seeing us differently than we see ourselves.
Yes, sir. But do you still say W? No, it's SteveDardenForJudge.com.
Okay, there you go.
My Facebook is the same, Steve Darden for Judge. Yeah. So those are both.
People can reach out on those and connect with you and ask you questions.
Absolutely. Yes, there's absolutely. You can contact me there. I have a phone number to my desk with a voicemail that is never full, 423-283-6303. I can't say the same thing about my cell phone.
Yeah.
That voicemail box is often full.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear from folks. Early voting is underway.
Mm-hmm.
And, but anyway, if anyone reads something on the website or Facebook page and wants to have a chat, please call me at that number.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome that you're open to that. Anything I forgot to ask you or we didn't get to cover before we sign off?
I think you've covered the landscape very well. And, I'm sure when we sign off, I'll probably think of something I wish I had said. But for now, I just would say this. I think that great communities don't just happen. And I feel a debt of gratitude to the people who served our community in small ways, in big ways, in ways maybe people didn't even notice. Mm. And that's why I'm interested in doing this, is because giving back is an obligation that I really take seriously.
Yeah, and you can give back in so many little ways too. You don't have to serve as a judge or a commissioner or whatever, but I mean, I think that's what makes our city so great is because there are a lot of people who are giving and taking care of things and stepping out and showing up and helping. Right. I think we could use a lot more of it, and little stuff too, like just pick up some trash if you see it on the side of the road or whatever, like little stuff. And it goes a long way in making our city just awesome because it is so beautiful. Yeah. People are great. And so I appreciate you serving. I appreciate what you've done for the city so far. I'm looking forward to you winning the election and watching you just continue to help our community because you are a true servant.
Well, thank you very much. And this court, the General Sessions Court, is full of heroes. There are folks who volunteer their time as court-appointed special advocates through CASA.
Gotcha. Yep.
And they get involved in people's lives, young people's lives, to help them have an opportunity really to live life to its fullest, because they may have been born into circumstances that aren't as fortunate as
outside of their control, right? Yeah.
Right. So it's there's a real team there.
Yeah.
And the court clerk's office, my goodness, those folks, they keep the place humming.
They really do.
If it really is it's a busy place, and the court clerk and her staff, they're amazing people. Yeah. And so I want to make sure that they know I'm interested in being part of the team.
Yeah.
And it's a good group, and I hope they'll welcome me to the bench.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, spending some time with me. Thank you for you guys listening online or on YouTube or wherever you're watching. And you've got my vote. I'm 100% behind you. You got a sign in my yard right now.
Hey, thank you.
My neighborhood. Thank you. Hopefully learning a little bit about you, and this will only promote that. And so I wish you the best. And thanks again for.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Learned a lot about you, and I've seen you every day almost for years. So
right.
We don't get to go deep. So
well, let's do it again, and
we will. We'll say, we'll get in a year and see how you're doing. You can tell us some stories about what you're learning as judge.
I would be honored to do that. So early voting's
happening right now. Freedom Hall, Jonesboro Middle School.
Right, the old one.
Yep. That and then
Gray Commons. Fire Hall there.
And then Election Day's May 5th.
May 5th.
Get out.
Early voting's till April 30, and I would very much appreciate the votes of the folks who've taken time to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I would too. And you can't whine if you don't vote, right? You can't complain later on because you didn't even vote. So.
Well, and that's right. So I hope everybody will get it. There are a lot of elections this year.
Yeah.
And they're all important.
They really are. I think we take it for granted, but then you start looking around and you're like, oh, wow, look what's happening in New York City. So little stuff turns into big stuff over time. And I feel like we need to be very careful in who we appoint, right? And so we have the ability to pick the right person. And sometimes we don't go vote and we're too busy or whatever it is, and the wrong person can get in, and it can be a mess, And so, well, thank you for serving again. And
thank you.
You guys have a great day. Until next time, I'm Colin Johnson. Thanks for watching, and subscribe and share and get out and vote for Steve. Have a great day.